James is an HR advisor and has been tasked with making sure he fills over 300 new hires in our Texas locations over the next 2 years. Whilst roles have generally been filled in less than 30 days, managers in this region have been complaining of high turnover and poor performance of those that stay. In order to ensure the business meets its growth targets, James has been tasked with finding out how they can improve this situation. He also understands that behavioural science can be a far better predictor of job performance in role than CV, interview, or worse still, gut feel, and he wants to make sure the business is leveraging the great data they have on cognitive assessments that are taken during the recruiting process. Luckily, James has access to Talent Insights, powered by Watson Analytics, a powerful cognitive analytics technology that can understand natural language and connect to any third-party data source, such as your applicant tracking system, HRIS, talent and learning systems, or even business systems such as Salesforce. By combining data sources and using powerful guided data discovery, James is able to uncover hidden insights in the data which will help inform the business strategy. James has access to a dataset in a spreadsheet and is able to simply drag the file into Talent Insights and start working on it immediately. No technical skill is required to query and analyze the data, and in seconds the file is ready to analyze, guiding him to some possible starting points. He wants to see if there is a difference in average scores by state, so he starts typing a question. What are the average assessment scores by state? In seconds, Talent Insights has produced a geographic map with lighter areas representing lower assessment scores from our recruiting technology. We can see a marked difference between Texas, where we have high turnover, and Michigan, where things are more stable. Notice how we can also easily change the data view to look at any other aspect of the data, and notices that employee engagement in Texas also appears to be low. By changing the visualization to a bar chart, James can layer a second data element, such as whether or not the hired individual is still an active employee. This in turn allows James to compare the average assessment scores from those that left the business within the last 12 months to those in the green bars, which represent active employees. By hovering over each of the elements of the bar visualization, James notices that people that left the business in Texas had, on average, much lower scores than those that are still here, a fact that is almost certainly worth investigating further. As we saw before in the heat map, engagement levels may be playing a part in retention, but may also be linked to our hiring practices. Again, James simply has to ask a new question to see if any patterns emerge. You'll notice that Talent Insights automatically understands that a bubble chart is the optimal visualization type for this kind of analysis. By sizing each bubble by the number of employees and averaging out the data, a clear pattern seems to emerge, with higher assessment scores appearing to be linked in most states to high levels of engagement. And as expected, people that were hired in Texas had lower assessment scores, but also scored lower in terms of overall engagement 12 months in. Notice how this experience, there is no need to get too technical with concepts such as statistical inference, p-values, and other technical terms. The user experience has been deliberately designed to be simple to understand and help the user uncover relationships and patterns in the data before doing any more formal statistical analysis. Finally, James wants to find out if there's variation in candidate quality, as indicated by assessment score, across our hiring managers and sourcing mix. With Talent Insights, this can be done in seconds by asking another question. What are my assessment scores by hiring manager? This time, James can easily rank the managers by average candidate assessment score, and then add hire source to the visualization to see that Claire is using a sourcing mix that differs greatly from Ed, who seems to be using sources of candidates such as agencies that have resulted in candidates with lower assessment scores on average. To see how this plays out in our problem state of Texas, we need only to add the words "in Texas" to our original question, and Talent Insights conveniently adds the appropriate filter. When James again compares the active hires with people that left, it becomes immediately clear that none of the people Liam hired are still in the business. James can simply right-click on the inactive employees to see where they were hired from, and discovers all of Liam's hires came from referrals, indicating this may not be the most effective source for high quality. In just a few minutes of interaction with this cognitive analytics tool, James has uncovered some key insights that may help explain the variation we are finding in terms of candidate quality and retention. By saving his workbook and exporting to PowerPoint or PDF, he can easily share these findings with his executive team to help inform the business strategy moving forwards.